afternoon. So this is my part two. Sorry, I don't know, I'm all over the place today. It's supposed to be a non-day in the Mayan calendar. It's the end of their year and the beginning of their next is tomorrow. So yeah, I feel a bit all over the place. So I've really chilled out. I've done a few meditations this morning, this afternoon as well, just to clear some crap and look at ancestry stuff as well. So today is about devaluation. So yesterday I decided the other day I was going to do 3 live videos in a row, talk about the cycle of abuse, and I was going to go into a little bit more detail about that. So the cycle of abuse is idealisation, devaluation and discard. And so I spoke yesterday about the idealisation, how you are targeted and so you're targeted in a way that you are you're mirrored. So everything that you're seeing is actually an element of you being mirrored back. So with the devaluation, the mask is mask is put on, and they are copying and mimicking and projecting back all your values and things that you find your morals and everything that you find really important in your life. And then because the mask, and actually devaluation is part of the whole process anyway. It's this part of a hooking in and hooking you into something or to them in an emotional way. So it causes so much damage and confusion. And what they actually do is, so the things that they thought or said that were really, felt were really important, and they idolized you over, they start to put little put downs. So they test this to start with by little tiny digs at things, and then if you pick up anything or it doesn't quite fit, they said they were only joking, or you're really sensitive, and then they'll do a bit more idealisation and then really hook you in. But this testing stage is really to see how hooked in you are to them and what they can do, and how they can start eradicating any boundaries that are left. So they're subtle put downs, and they are usually followed quite quickly by idealisation. What it actually does is it changes the chemicals in your brain, and this is what stops your intuition kicking in and saying, this isn't right, it doesn't feel right. So it gets your intuition is actually turned off. And it's overridden, and it's like a drug. It's really like being hooked on heroin, because what you're trying to get back to is that space where you were, that place where you were being idolized, because you'd never felt like that before. And this is why there's so much trauma around, and the healing is so difficult. So what you're trying to do is get the attention from the start of the relationship that you had. Again, they can use things like triangulation. So triangulation is bringing in a third party. So it could be an ex. And I spoke yesterday about how they use their exes to guide you into not behaving in a certain way. So you've got this amazing relationship and this person that's falling over themselves for you and treating you and telling you how amazing you are, and they're using their exes to say, of course our relationship didn't work because they did whatever it was, and so not to behave in that way. So they're training you and guiding you down a route. So with the triangulation, that might be they're bringing in an ex. It's to make you feel jealous, or to make you feel insecure, It might be another friend, or it might be, it can be various different things actually, family members, but you feel like you're fighting for attention, you're fighting to win their attention. Other things they can do is maybe things like gaslighting, so they're distorting your reality and they're changing your perception on a situation or what has happened. And this is really all about power and control, and this cycle just goes round and round and round. So you're through the idealisation stage, you go through the devalue, you might go back to idealisation, you might go through a bit of discard, so they withdraw. When they return, it's like a drug, you're then hooked on this drug. It's like heroin, you're trying to get your fix. So as I said, that in the early stages they were just mirroring, and then they're putting on this mask and pretending to be someone else. And the cracks in the mask are that what you're seeing in the devaluation stage is actually who they really, really are. But you keep going back because they're love bombing, and of course they've told you that you're soulmates, and you're going to go want that. That this is what you want, this is what you're looking for, this is what you've been looking for. And then it's the discard, and then I'm going to talk about the final discard and actually what happens and some of the things that can happen at the end. And that's why, if you are going through this, or you have been through this and you haven't done the work, you can still be traumatized by exactly what's going on. And the trauma is through those two stages, through this cycle. The trauma is you're holding it in your body because you're living in a state of confusion, and you've got this cognitive dissonance that's happened because they're telling you one thing, but their actions and words aren't matching up. And that's what cognitive dissonance is. It's when you've got two things going on and they don't correspond. So it might be that mothers are really, really are the caregivers, but you hear stories of abuse by mothers, and that's just one. There's so many different examples, but cognitive dissonance is to me for this scenario is they are telling you how amazing you are through this love bombing and isolation, but actually what they're doing behind the scenes or to you with this devaluation isn't matching up. They don't match up with what's happening, and this is all part of the trauma bonding. Is again, that's something else that they are very good at, is getting you to bond by a trauma. And basically that's what that is. That this is what the devaluation process is. It's trauma bonding, and it's like you're coming out of something. You're coming out of a war zone, really. You're coming out completely triggered, and this is why it's so important to go in and do a lot of inner healing, finding out where it actually comes from, because I honestly believe this is a gift. It doesn't feel like it, but it's a gift, and that's the way to look at it. It's a horrible experience, and but coming out the other side, you will have put yourself back together in a completely different way. And it's actually, I've got it here for something else, and so my book Finding Lily is has got, and it is again that situation. And I remember when I was writing it, reading a quote from Glennon Doyle Melton, who's an author and activist, and she says, and this is what I learned. So at the time she was writing this, she just separated from her husband, or they'd been separated a little while, and she met somebody else. She had been healing from a relationship. I don't know whether it was abusive. I know there was an affair involved, and she was trying to pull herself back together again from that. So she the statement was, and this is what I learned: you can be shattered and then you can put yourself back together piece by piece. But what can happen over time is this: you wake up one day and you realise you've put yourself back together completely differently. So I know I'm on my iPad, so I'm not quite sure whether that's going to come out back to front or not, whether you're going to be able to read that. But so I used that quote because it was exactly how I felt writing the book, and what happened afterwards. After the relationship broke down. But it's also happened again, you know, following me writing that. And that was basically when I was writing it, I just saw so many similarities of what was going on. But each relationship's different, and it's all about picking up the pieces and putting yourself back together again. There is so much else that goes on in the devaluation stage, and that's why I'm going to sit down and write it up tomorrow morning and process that, because it's the chemical reactions that in that devaluation stage that are what's so painful. And whether it's the final discard or not, that is one of the hooks. It's, you know, I use like a fisherman, when he hooks a fish, he doesn't reel it in straight away. He lets it go just to make sure that hook is fully embedded, and then he starts to reel his fish in. And that's really what the devaluation stage is. It's, you know, it's the hook, just checking that the hook's in and it's going to be safely in there. So it's really, really important if you've gone through anything like this. And I've read of people, you know, 30 years still suffering. So it's really, really important that you go in. It doesn't matter how long ago. When I was doing the final healing on Finding Lily, I really thought that I'd done that. I'd dealt with it all. I thought I'd done all the healing and I got over it, but you know, 26 years later, there was still part of me that needed, you know, was still, there was still part of it there. In 2012, I did. She came up and then started to come up through the book, and I realised that it was the forgiveness of what I'd done. I had to forgive myself. And then the last part in 2016 was actually bringing myself back. So the bit that I had self-preservation, a part of me had popped out like a soul fragment. But it was a complete me at age 26, I think I was, and 26, 27, and it was claiming that part back, and that was the journey. That was the big part of my journey, but it was painful. And well, on a level, there was an element of enjoyment of picking up and feeling wholer and wholer. But so I want to talk about that tomorrow. That journey of actually healing is so important. So I'm going to leave it there, and I will be back on tomorrow. I might do it in the morning actually, because I've got a busy weekend, so I might just take the rest of the day off tomorrow as well. Okay, so have a fabulous Wednesday.